Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the new Blacephalon in the Open Ultra League. Thanks again to everybody who battled me to do some test battles here today to take a look at this Pokemon. This Pokemon is insanely squishy, and if you enjoy those type of showcases, you know what you have to do. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. As you can see here immediately, a very favorable lead for us. We're going to have the Feraligatr running the double resisted Shadow Claw against our Pidgeot. We're going to have in general a very classic ABB style line. We have the Pidgeot in lead, being one of the strongest Pokemon in the Open Ultra League, for sure something that you want to have. Skeleturge is our Say-Swap, which has great coverage for the meta in general, like a very good Say-Swap. And then in the back we're going to have our Blacephalon, which is going to be able to hopefully sweep some opponents here today. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it was definitely a cool Pokemon to run. Anyway, so we're going to see here the first opponent having the Annihilate against our Skeleturge, and I kind of want to keep my shield for my Pokemon in the back. Was maybe a mistake, but it was actually not, because he can survive with a 1 HP on our Skeleturge, which is kind of mad, which I didn't expect, and so they are shieldless. And I was hoping I can go still for a Feather Dance here as a Night Slash. It would not be enough to knock us out, but they're not running Night Slash. They are running Ice Punch here, and so they're going to be able to knock me out. 3 Pokemon left for the opponent, and 1 Pokemon left for us, and it's a Clown here, which is gonna go for the full farm down, but not before the opponent can go for another Shadow Ball. We can use a shield, but we have now 80 energy on our Clown, and our Clown is going to be quite decent as he can now farm down the Feraligatr, and sadly they decide to forfeit. If you're, by the way, the opponent there, please stay in for the sake of just having a funny video, because, like, yeah, I know, the game is over, we would be able to completely destroy them, but I still would have loved to see the damage that we would have done against the opponent there, so just for the next time, would really enjoy if you could stay in for just science reasons. Anyway, we're going to see a very bad matchup here for the second one. We're going to encounter a Gyarados, a Pokemon that you don't really want to face with our backline, but again, honestly, like, Skeleturge always survives with like 1 HP, which is quite mad. Definitely a very good Pokemon to run for the Open Ultra League, and also a very cheap Pokemon to run as well, which is quite nice. Anyway, the opponent is going to be able to go ahead and go for a Crunch against our Pidgeot. They don't get the debuff, which is quite nice for us. And we're gonna try to go for the full farm down, and now I'm gonna try to swap out straight away. I know that I still survive this, and I try to swap out immediately now into my Blacephalon, and they still can farm me down. And this is maybe actually impactful. I'm not too sure about it. Let's find out here together. But that was kind of annoying for me, because I kind of would have had a lot of energy there. It is not like on the opponent's part, it's not really on the game's part. It's just kind of sadly an inconsistency. Sometimes you can swap out, sometimes you can't swap out against one-turn moves. It is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. We can still move on here. So you're going to encounter the Charizard. Now we're going to see how much Shadow Ball does from this thing. Honestly, it is mad. Look at this. Boom, going to do so much damage, and we can now take a look here if we can still get to move. No, we cannot, but yeah, it is what it is, and we can move on to the next opponent. Let's find out what they're going to run. We're going to have a Steelix here in the lead. Very bad lead for us, but we can swap out eventually, at least. I kind of want to get some energy here first, because if you have like a Brave Bird stored, for example, it's kind of nice for the end game. And so I decided to stay in until they go for the Psychic Fangs. Now I can go for one more Force Move and then swap out into my Skeleturge, baiting out the shiny variant of Jellicent. Honestly, such a cool shiny. I like this one quite a lot. The green looks like so cool on it. We decided to go straight for the Shadow Ball to try to get somewhat of an advantage, as we will get the shield advantage now against the opponent. We can let the move go through, and again, Skeleturge is just surviving with like a few HP. It doesn't really matter at this point, but it is kind of still hilarious to see. We're going to go back into our Pidgeot. I don't want to throw before they go for their Surf, because, of course, the Brave Bird is going to drop our defense quite harshly, and so we can just go for that now after they already went for that charge move. This is going to get them low, but not low enough that I can knock them out. We have some lag here, and so sadly I went for one extra fast move that I didn't want to go for. The Feather Dance is not going to knock them out, but they swap back out into the Steelix. I doubt that there's a chance of winning this game at this point, because you see already one issue for Blacephalon is just that it's like such a glass cannon that even like a Steelix with the fast move of Dragon Tail is basically doing as much damage as you with the super effective Incinerate, which is quite mad. But they let the move go through, and this is going to be quite interesting, as he can still go for another charge move here. Sure, went most likely rather for the Shadow Ball, but actually this helps out now, because we're gonna get the shield, and so we're gonna get the attack drop, and we're gonna be able to reach that Brave Bird in time before they can go for 2 moves back to back. And this is a huge mistake for the opponent, because now we can go for the Boom, knock them out, and farm down the Jellicent. Next opponent, we're going to encounter the Escavalier in the lead, a Pokemon that I want to face with my backline for sure, one of the best matchups for my Skeledirge as well as my Blacephalon, and then I'm going to go into a Charizard, not running the correct moveset here. Like, you really want to have a Wing Attack. Air Slash is not ideal for this Pokemon, but a Wing Attack is a legacy move, so some people might not have the Elite Fast TM. I actually made a video recently about what kind of moves you want to Elite Fast TM anyway, so definitely check that one out as well. But Elite Fast TMs, I think you get like 2 for free each season, so definitely something that you can get quite easily. And there are not a lot of Pokemon that really need an Elite Fast TM anyway, so Charizard is for sure a Pokemon that you kind of want to use it on. Anyway, we're gonna see the Auroras here, and they are not running Powder Snow, and this is a huge deal, because my entire team is weak to the Rock-type move, and so Rock Throw is going to be definitely not something I want to encounter. And so I'm forced to go into my Blacephalon now. We have some more lag, and I try to go for another charge move here eventually as well, hoping that they would not try to catch the move, because it's going to be a little bit more annoying then. And they decide to catch the move. And so I am going to be forced to go for a huge undercharge here with the Mystical Fire, so I can swap out into my Pidgeot and get a million energy basically. Because I need all the energy in the world in order to still beat the Auroras. I still have to try to drop their attack so I can survive some more Weather Balls from them as well. But also I have to hit a Brave Bird against them in order to knock them out. So let's see if we can still come back from this one. We still have our good bird Pidgeot, which is definitely something that you have to build for the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is so insanely strong. And as you're gonna see, we can still reach another charge move. And this is going to be it for the opponent. Goodbye there, and we can still win this game. Moving on to the next one, this is going to be more of a tough matchup for us. We're going to have the Zygarde here, and Zygarde is basically the most broken Pokemon for the Open Ultra League, just most people don't have this Pokemon available, and so we're gonna see here the Crunch coming through, not gonna get the debuff, which is kinda nice, and I just tried to get some damage onto them. In comes the Brave Bird, going to connect, and look how little this did for like a neutral move. It's just kind of mad. We can still try to go for a Disarming Voice, but the opponent catches the move onto the Tentacruel. Great play by them here, as we are still going to be forced to just go for the Shadow Balls. There's some lag there again. Like the game is still not perfectly fixed, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Honestly, one thing that I kind of want to ask you as well, because we had like so many Ultra Beasts going around right now, what is your favorite Ultra Beast? Let me know in the comment section if you're still listening till this point of the video. For me, I think it is Katana. I think Katana is like one of my favorite ones, but I also really like the Stakataka, which we showcased early on the channel as well. If you haven't seen this, definitely check it out. Stakataka, also one of my favorite Pokemon, because back in the day, I was still playing the main CS games competitively, like not like that I went to tournaments and anything like this, but I did like more online tournaments and things like this. And Stakataka was so much fun as a Trick Room Sweeper, if you know what this means. So yeah, it was a fun Pokemon for me to use back in the day, but I think Katana is like design-wise my favorite one for sure. But anyway, yeah, let me know in the comment section what is your favorite Ultra Beast. Anyway, we're gonna see here the opponent having still their Zygarde around. We have to try to farm them all the way down. They don't get the debuff, which is quite decent. They're still going to have the Tapu Fini in the back. Our only way of winning this game is to try to go for the Shadow Ball and connect it here. And the opponent is going to let the move go through, and so we have to connect it to more Incinerates. And I'm not too sure if the damage should have went through from this one. I think they're just literally one turn away from taking the damage, and they would have got knocked out by it. But yeah, good game there. Of course, I went for the 2-shield flex, so that was kind of on their way anyway. Next opponent, horrible lead for us. We can swap out immediately into our Skeledirge, which is going to be great for it, as you're gonna see Dragalge, and I have a little bit of a mistake here in terms of thinking in my head, because I forgot kind of that the Dragalge is a poison type, and so Disarming Voice is not going to do super effective damage, and so the shield that I just used maybe was a little bit of an unnecessary one. But I can still go for another Disarming Voice, hoping that the opponent would use a shield here, because I would like to get some shields down. I do get the shield down. I'm kind of lucky. That's kind of what I talked about before. Sometimes the damage just doesn't register in time. I should have not been able to get this Disarming Voice off. But it doesn't really matter anyway, because yeah, they're gonna get just a little bit less farm with the Pidgeot, which is quite decent because we're still at a lot of health here, but they're going to have a double Steel line. Would be kinda great for a Blacephalon, you would imagine, but look at the damage the opponent does with the Dragon Tail already, and very sadly for us, they're also gonna get the debuff here with the Breaking Swipe. And this is actually quite crucial, I would say, because if they didn't get the debuff, I think I could have just farmed them all the way down before, like they could have got to like another move or whatever, I would have been just able to farm them down without throwing the Mystical Fire. But it is what it is, we can still try to reach another one, and we just barely don't get a move off. And this is quite unfortunate for this game, because if I just hit one Incinerate on the opponent's Sand Slash with either the Skeledirge or the Blacephalon swapping into them, I actually would have been in a great spot here, because what we see as well is that the opponent has no fast move pressure. They're going to have a double resisted move that's also now double debuffed, and so it's all down to their ice move attacks there with the ice punches here, which is going to be something that we can't easily take. Hopefully, by the way, that we never see a better move than ice punch on the Sand Slash. This Pokemon is already very strong, and I don't really want to see anything better, because this Pokemon would learn something like Avalanche or whatever, which would be just overpowered on this thing. But anyway, like here we will see that we can still go for a break, but it is going to be enough to knock them out. It is barely not, and as you're gonna see here right now, this is literally like the one fast move that we would have needed with like Incinerate from one of the Pokemon in the back to knock them out. But it is what it is. Good game, well played by the opponent. We can move on to the final battle for today. Funnily enough, this is actually the final, the first battle that I did with this team. It's going to be against a Seeking, which is tricky, I would say. Seeking has coverage for the entire team that we are running here, because they're going to have Icy Wind for the lead, they're going to have Drill Run for the backline, but at least for the backline, the Poison Jab is going to be resisted, so I swap out and they swap out at the same time. But this is going to be great for us, because I would have wanted to swap out anyway, as this is going to be a fairly decent matchup. It's not like directly a positive matchup for the Skeledirge, but it is a matchup that you can win if you invest some shields, so we decided to use a shield immediately, because this god would do quite a lot of damage, super effective damage that they can prevent, and they get the debuff immediately, which is quite annoying, but I can just go for a Disarming Voice. This is going to be able to connect and knock out the Poliwrath, which is quite nice for me. So we have to see what's coming in next. It's going to be the Seeking, which we can still go for another Disarming Voice against. Let's see if they're going to let the move go through or not. And if they let the move go through, I have two Pokemon that can drop attacks from opponents. And this is kind of important, because all they're gonna see now is I can let the move go through, and I can swap out into my Blacephalon, trying to get some energy advantage, which does work out quite well as they swap out into the Obstagoon. We have some more lag here, but they're gonna still have to take a Mystical Fire, which they decide to use a shield against, which is totally fine for me. But we're gonna be able to go for another shield as well against the opponent. It is going to be a nice coming through. They don't get the boost, and we can still reach another Mystical Fire. This should do a lot of damage, right? I'm kind of disappointed in this one. I honestly thought this would do more damage, but it is still fine. We can hopefully take a move here. We can buy like 1 HP, but it's still going to be fine for us, because we can just farm down with the Pidgeot. And that's going to be it for this video. Again, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. Check out this Taka video on the screen right now, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.